to studio review. This one should be interesting. How'd that go for y'all? It went? It went? Cool. This is a really large studio to fit in the amount of time we have to do the studio. And if I may have your attention, we will get started. So for the studio review, we'll just go until we either reach a reasonable stopping point, we heroically reach the end, or we reach 8:30. Definitely won't keep you past that. Cool. So I have really just not much here. I just have our main method, which is where we'll run the quiz. The quiz's job will be to be able to construct a quiz and then to run the quiz, I believe. I'll have like a run method. We have a question, which is intended to be like an abstract class or something similar to an abstract class. We don't have to make it abstract if we really don't want to. And then we have a few different types of questions. We have a multiple choice question, we have a true or false question, then we have this checkbox question. I think that the complexity requirements kind of spike a bit when you have multiple answers. During studio review, I was kind of working through this on my own, and I was trying to reverse engineer it from the checkboxes. But I think a better strategy would be to start with something a little bit easier, which will be true or false. So we'll solve for true or false, and then we'll kind of expand from there. Okay, so for the question thing, this requires a bit of thinking about what our strategy will be. So let's see here. In order for this to work, we need to have more than one possible answer. More than one possible answer. And so for true or false, it's going to be two possible answers. For the other questions, it could be, n plus. So the answers is going to be some sort of a collection. Now, should this be an array list or a hash map? It's actually be an interesting thing to get y'all's opinion on. What would you advocate for, an array list or a hash map to store these questions for? And then, if you will, why? Any takers? Okay. Yeah, I hear. Yeah, hash map is better, and array list is easier. It's a bit subjective because it depends on readability and all that stuff. I know what you're saying though. Yeah. So which recommendation are you making?
We're doing array list and time constraint.
Okay.
It seemed easier.
Sure. All right, so we'll start with an array list, and we may consider refactoring. So we will say answers. We call this a type, so this is going to be an array list. And inside this array list are strings, and the strings are our answers. This new array list. Let me make this a little bit more readable for y'all. Okay, now, so we have a collection of answers, and so for the first two scenarios that we're going to be solving for, true or false or multiple choice, there is only one possible correct answer. So that kind of simplifies the logic, so we'll start there. And so we will say, we'll make this an integer because this will be an index. Private integer, and we'll call this correct answer. Okay, so general idea is that we'll have a list of answers, and then we'll just document the index of which one is correct. All right, so now let us generate a constructor for both of these things. Okay, let's see here. Right, nothing else special we need to do. And before I start moving logic out inside of the question class, I'm just going to write all the logic inside of the question class for now. And then we can kind of explore refactoring it. You have a question? Where do you put the question? So like where would you create an instance of question?
No, like where would you put the actual question?
Oh, thank you. I'm missing that. Great question. All right, cool. So we also need string question and string question. So when I think too, I have this weird thing where I like my data to be in like stair steps, if that makes sense. All right, cool. Maybe it doesn't. So all right, so we have our question. Now we need a way to ask the question, and so I will make a method called ask question. All right, and this will be void because we're not going to return anything with this. This is all going to be printing things to the console and things like that. All right, so we're going to have to think through what this ask question is going to do. We need to print the question. We need to print all of the possible answers. We need to capture the user's answer, and maybe we can give instant feedback. We'll say provide correct answer versus theirs. All right, so does this seem reasonable? Any thoughts on this strategy for asking questions to the user? Any thoughts? Seem reasonable? Any tweaks? No? Okay, we'll go with this plan. All right, so this first option right here, this is very easy. Print the question. We will just say print line this dot question. We don't have to use this here, but I'm doing it just to be very clear. This next one is less. I don't know why there's red there. Oh, that's just a grammar thing. So the next thing we can do is we can print all of the possible answers. And so there are a couple different types of loops. I have one in mind for this. Keep in mind we're going to want to show the user the index so that they can then enter, like 1, 2, 3, whichever answer they want to choose. So I'll throw this out to y'all. What would y'all suggest? What type of loop do you think I should use here? For loop? For loop? Yep. I'm cool with that. We could technically do other kinds of loops and create the index manually, but with a for loop, we get it automatically. I equals 0, and then we will say answers dot size. So we need to say I is less than answers dot size, and then we go I plus plus. That looks like a for loop. All right, so from here we can print let's say we'll go index plus sort of a period to make it format right. Then we'll do answers, and then I want to say this, but I know this is not going to work. I just want to say, square brackets I, but I think I need to go and say get, and then do I. All right, so I think we've written enough logic that we need to test this. So while we will run this from our quiz class, let's just jump over to our main class and create a new question. What would be a good question?
What's your favorite color?
Great, thank you. We're going to make this like there's only one right answer, which is terrible, but this is good. We'll do that. Fave color equals new question. Then we're going to have to populate. We're going to have to get all the data for the new question. So one of the things we need, let's see in the right order, we need an array list of answers. So let's create that. Array list of strings equals new array list, and then we will say answers for favorite color dot, I believe it is add, then we can say blue. Just copy this. Maybe that's faster, maybe it's slower. And then we can say red, Control D. Thanks. I'll try that next time if I remember to. Okay. So now we can pass in our answer list, and then the next thing it wants is, let's hover, it wants an integer for the correct answer, so we'll say 0, 1, 2, 3, correct answer is 3, and then we have the question, what is your favorite color? There is only one right answer. Cool. I'm actually going to change the index to 2, just be a little less dark. All right. Now we'll say favorite color dot ask question. All right. So now we've got what we would call an integration test, in the sense that we're just manually testing a string of processes. So I'm going to run this. All right. What is your favorite color? There's only one right answer, and then it gives us the options for each. This is looking pretty good. This is a good start. So let's jump back over to questions. We have ask questions. And so we could continue on and capture the user's answer, or we could do that in a separate method. Because we're going with the strategy of get it working and then refactor it, we're just going to write it all in this one method and make it pretty later if time provides. So capture the user's answer. All right, now this is where we need an external tool. So there's more than one option here. I think the one we've used in LaunchCode is the scanner class. And so okay, that looks pretty straightforward. So we're going to create a new instance of it, scanner, call it get answer equals new scanner. And then I feel like I'm missing a piece. Let me look back at my code reference. System. Okay, cool. So we have a scanner, and now we can say Go figure. I'm just gonna leave that on for now. All right. So now we need get answer. Let's see here. Check out the reference again. String equals. Got it. Okay, so we'll say integer. Answer equals get answer dot next int. All right, and then from here we can say keep doing that where I do the abbreviated version. All right, cool. So we can say you entered, and then we'll say plus, and then we'll say answers dot get, and then we'll say answer, and then we can say the correct answer was, and we'll add that real quick. And then here we'll say this dot correct answer. So they enter in an integer. Yeah. All right, let's test this out, see what happens. All right, so now we have the option of entering your favorite color. Enter in 0. You entered blue. The correct answer was gold. Okay, so we now have a nice foundation for this studio. We have a way to create a question. We have a method for asking the question and getting the answer. And so there's a lot of different places we could go from here to continue the studio. I'm going to actually throw this back to y'all. Is there something that you'd like to do next as far as this goes? Because I think there's quite a few things we could do. Any thoughts on what to do next? I saw two people. What was yours? Multiple choice, okay. And then clarify the question. I'm sorry, how? Oh, you mean you're talking about this print line right here? Okay, gotcha. All right, so we have abstraction. Okay. Cool. Right, so I just made this class abstract, and we have a problem. It says because we create a new instance of this class. All right, so this is no longer going to work. Instead, we're going to implement this with multiple choice. Extends question. It's not happy yet. No default constructor. That is easy to fix. We will generate constructor. A lot of words there, but it looks right. So we pass in answers, correct answer, and question. We don't need, we still need a correct answer. Okay. So with multiple choice, my assumption with multiple choice is it's multiple choices, but there's still only one correct answer. So this is very similar to what we implemented just directly inside of quiz. And so here we could actually, in our main method, do something very similar. And instead of making this question, we call this multiple choice. new multiple choice. And so now I can run the project as before, where it's going to ask me for my input. Enter the number corresponding. I will say, you're right. So I think I understand what you're saying before. If I enter, well, okay, yes, it's spaced by index. Sorry, I'm talking in my own head right now. So I'm going to say 2. You entered gold. The correct answer was gold. The program ends. And so here we haven't done much. All we have done is we made question abstract. And then in our multiple choice class, we just imported things as is. Now, let's see here. For true or false, let's see how we can do this. So we're going to say extends question, add our constructor, generate constructor. So far, all of this is just fine. But I have a feeling we're going to want to customize this a little bit. So let's go ahead and create a quick true or false question. Let's see here. We'll call this. Well, this will be very simple. We'll just call this one true or false. Actually, we don't even need to do this here. What we could do with our true or false is instead of setting answers using a constructor, we could just create a hash map inside the constructor, and this will be a hash map of strings, and this will be true or false equals new hash map, and then we can say dot add, is that the wrong thing, dot put, we can say true dot put false. So now, instead of adding correct answer, we can add true or false. Not the correct answer, it would be answers. I do have something that it's not liking. Oh, yeah. Use the wrong data type. Y'all probably saw that. All right, that's why add wasn't working. And so from here, why is this unhappy? So in order to call super, it needs to be the first statement in the constructor body. Okay, that might be a bit of a curveball. I wonder if I can just move this logic out here. This might be. Okay. Right. So what we could do is you're imagining something like the. Hold on, this is not happy. And then doing something like set. This. Just say set true or false. And then setting it after the super. Are you imagining something like that? Is that what you're suggesting? Okay, gotcha. Let's see here. Right. Let me see if this is possible. Was there another suggestion? as far as instead of using the dot put. Something like initialize array list in Java with values. All right, right here. Oh yeah, the original constructor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm almost there. And then this needs to be on the top. Something like this.
One of the problems is constructors that have answers passed into it, right?
Are you talking about the constructor right here? Right.
We have an abstract, we have all of those fields in your constructor, you have an abstract.
Mm-hmm.
They all have to be in the place, all three have to be there.
Right. I guess what we're trying to strategize would be how to do like a default value, and it's possible we could do the default value in the abstract class. I don't like that entirely.
Yeah, our question class got complicated to the point that we started over and just had like two values within the question class.
Right.
Started shifting everything to the other three and then there.
Gotcha. So that would be a scenario in which, in the questions class, some of the logic was removed as far as like the like the answer list or something like that. Okay, that's a pretty reasonable suggestion. It looks like we're just at about time. I think this was actually a pretty good discussion. I know we didn't like blaze through the entire studio, but thinking through these things, it's part of the whole learning process, being a developer, logic process. So cool. Any last minute questions before we wrap this up? Yes.
Hypothetically, though,
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to just put true or false in the array list of answers, truly there really would be no difference except for the name and the amount of answers given, right? For each
Right.
quiz.
At least how this is coded right now. Yeah. Yep. Cool. Thanks. All right. Have a great night.